He created a meme for Dennis Schroder blew the bag. This was one of the biggest stories. Lakers offered him $84 million, and he turns it down to sign with the Boston Celtics for 5.9. Dennis Schroder blew the bag. Now, what this comes down to, ladies and gentlemen, for those who needed to know, for those who truly cared, when people speak of success and they speak of moving in a productive way, here's what you're missing. LeBron James was his teammate on the Los Angeles Lakers that year. And they pretty much was going to lose Dennis Schroder. They pretty much knew the cap of what they were going to spend to get Dennis Schroder, and they wanted him to return. They loved Dennis Schroder. They wanted him to come back. They loved him. Early in the beginning of that season. Through the season, he clashed with LeBron James. One more again. Dennis Schroder clashed with LeBron James. Now, what could this clash be about? I'm not saying this is the clash. I'm saying Dennis Schroder is not somebody who holds his tongue. Dennis has a sharp tongue, and he's not shy about using it. LeBron James just got a big old mouth and a lot of power. So he uses his power and influence in this situation, and miraculously and mysteriously, weird things start to happen. That ends up affecting Dennis Schroder's contract. Yeah. Now, let me speak on this. You see, Dennis Schroder grew up in a place where this type of activity was allowed. That's right. Dennis Schroder grew up in an environment where this is normally allowed in the NBA. But you don't bite the hand that feeds you. The Lakers wanted to get rid of him. They weren't going to sign him for the $84 million. They were going to go find someone else. LeBron didn't want him back. So he was out. By the end of the season, Dennis Schroder was out. So LeBron and Dennis Schroder did not see eye to eye in this series, really, and as everything went down to these progressions, they eventually went their separate ways. Now, it wasn't about Dennis's ability to play. Dennis was very spoken. AM and AD were cool. But other than that, LeBron, not a guy he really spoke to. And that wasn't going to work. So let me tell you some of the secrets of the NBA. The NBA has what they call a buddy system. And as long as you got this buddy system, this umbrella around you, you're going to be protected. Okay? And LeBron used a powerful media tool. He used ESPN. He used the internet, saying the Lakers offered $84 million to Dennis Schroder, and he turned it down. Now, here's the thing. You've heard that. and you probably think it's the gospel. What if I told you that that $84 million that they offered Dennis Schroder was a lie? That the Lakers never offered him $84 million. And you would be like, what? Why didn't Dennis Schroder say anything? Why did he let this go on? Because he tried to, and they wouldn't allow him to speak. You see, LeBron James controlled the media. And as long as LeBron James was controlling the media, there was nothing that anybody could say or do that was going to change the narrative. LeBron said, his media team said that was the case. So Dennis Schroder spoke on it once, and they made that go away. But he told the truth. He said, look, I'll have a fun with you guys. Because it was his birthday, and he kept putting up there, I just blew the bag. He did the I just blew the bag challenge on his birthday page. Said, come up with your best, I just blew the bag. Now, it's not uncommon for agents to talk to other teams to know what they're going to do or what their plans are for the season. So they know what Dennis Schroder's worth is. They know his worth is over 100 million, at least 105, right? The Lakers, in the beginning of the season, when they were taking team photos, Rob Pelinka says, we're going to offer you about at least 85 million to sign back with the team. I know you could probably go get more, but you know, you'll be a Laker and you got way more opportunities here. And we want you to, you know, you're going to be on primetime games, more sponsorships. You got all of this aligned for you. So, yeah, that's what we're going to work on that. So by the end of the year, we'll talk. He never was given a contract. His agent never got a piece of paper saying, here's our offer for 85 million. It was just spoken on that that's what they had to give to him early in the season. They never offered it to him. Dennis Schroder was never offered 84, 85. They never sent him a contract offer. They never did it. When it got to the end of the season, they didn't offer him a dime. Not one thing. It was all a lie. So they kept pushing the narrative that he turned it down and the market dried up. No, his agent had already had talks with the New York Knicks. He was going to the New York Knicks to replace Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose ended up getting re-signed by the Knicks. Politics of the league. They wanted to punish Dennis Schroder because they were being fed false information, as if he was difficult and feeling entitled and saying 84 is not enough money for him. So they believed that he actually turned down the NBA. Oh, okay, how ungrateful. You don't want to play with LeBron and sign for 84 million? No. Everybody do not pick. Well, all the teams that he was supposed to go to, the NBA closed those doors. Now there's no more money. So he had to play on a 1-year deal for $5.9 million. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that was a lie. They've been telling you that lie for a long time, haven't they? Now, know what you're thinking. That's just one little thing. It doesn't mean anything. Oh, it means a lot. It means a lot. There's a lot on the table that people just don't understand. So I bet you think that's just it, right? They re-signed Derrick Rose when they had no intentions of re-signing Derrick Rose. That was the strangest signing ever. They had told Derrick Rose agent, like, this is it. And he was going to go back to Chicago and play like probably his last season in a Chicago Bulls uniform. And they ended up re-signing Derrick Rose back to the Knicks. And he didn't even play. He just was re-signed and just sit. So the Knicks situation didn't work out. The Celtics situation didn't work out. He got traded to Toronto. His attitude just didn't fit what they were doing over in Boston. So his deals kept getting smaller and smaller, and he was screwed out of the money that was supposed to be his. Oh, it's going to get even more interesting for you. Oh, you're going to love this. The union wanted to look into this to see what went up wrong, because that's not fair. Like, they say, hey, we can't tell a team what to do. The team didn't want to take a risk on him. And it's like, well, he had the numbers. His worth was clearly in the position of an $85 million to $100 million. Like, how does he end up with a 1-year deal for $5.9 million? That's a gross miscalculation for any agent. Something happened here. So now teams are scared to saying something must be wrong with Dennis Schroder. Why would they take a guy like that and move on? That's because he didn't play ball with LeBron the way LeBron wanted. He didn't kiss LeBron's ass. LeBron screwed him out of millions, allegedly. Now, yeah, I know. So moving right along, the pendulum switches over again. Because I keep telling you, y'all keep thinking that's it. It's a lot more to the puzzle. Now, the Boston Celtics got a decision to make. Isaiah Thomas is tearing up the NBA. Isaiah Thomas knows that they were supposed to, Boston, secure Isaiah Thomas during the season. They didn't. They wanted to wait to the end of the year and secure him for the season. He went and played even when he lost his sister in a fatal one-car car crash. He played inspired for his sister. They won the game, but he was playing injured. His hip was bad, and they knew it. And there's a little guy putting up like 45s and 50s. Like, Isaiah Thomas destroying the NBA that year. So now they go ahead, they get a contract offer, everything is done. He was scheduled to make like $150 million. $150 million for Isaiah Thomas from Boston. So this deal changed the foundation of the Boston Celtics, because had they made this deal, the whole Tatum and Brown thing might not have materialized, and you would have probably never seen that in fruition play out the way it did with the Kyrie Irving experiment, the whole nine. Now, the $150 million is in sight. It has a chance. They want to do the deal. Nobody in Boston saying they don't want Isaiah Thomas. Isaiah Thomas has brought him back to prominence, and they're loving it. Now, the $150 million contract is in play, where basically all of it's guaranteed. He's not missing anything. He's going to get bonuses. Everything is favorable for him. He gets to opt out after 2.5 years, renegotiate. He loves this deal. He's loving what it represents. His agent is saying, okay, everything's cool. So everything was cool with the money. Then they said, okay, team doctor looked at your hip, and the doc says you need surgery. So we just require you go into surgery right after the season. Like you go right in and have that surgery. He says, nah, I did some studying, and I went and saw a specialist outside of the Boston doctor. And he said, I don't need surgery. He said, I'm okay. If I just let it heal naturally, it'll take an extra month or two. And I might miss like the first month of the season. But I'll be good to go. And they said, we don't want to wait that long and spend the whole season on you getting back in shape. Trust me, we have the best doctors in the world here in Boston. The best hospitals are in Boston. Trust us. That's what they're trying to say. Like, what is wrong with you? Trust us. We have your best interest in heart. Don't go left on us. We got you. Nope. He wasn't trying to hear that. Isaiah chose he was not going to have the surgery. He wanted to play the field. He wanted to represent himself. He wanted to be independent, strong. He wanted to heal naturally. Oh, this pissed off Boston. So the Celtics said, you sure this is what you want to do? I said, yeah. They said, okay. And immediately, all contact with the Boston Celtics was eliminated. The $150 million contract off the table. Isaiah Thomas was traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Kyrie went over to the Boston Celtics. They got Gordon Hayward, and all the money that they were going to give Isaiah Thomas went to rebuilding the Boston Celtics. So I would say Isaiah Thomas lost that because he ended up having to have the hip surgery anyway, because his hip never really healed fully the way he thought by not having the surgery, because he came back rushing it too soon and trying to get himself back in shape in Cleveland. The wrong team to play on, a team that has LeBron James, is going to be trying to vie for an NBA championship. So he only got to play basically a couple of games before he was kicked off the team halfway in the All-Star break. LeBron got rid of him. He had no time for a player trying to develop and get himself together. So he said, well, let's trade him. Get him off the team. So now, instead of a $150 million deal, Isaiah Thomas was doing 10-day contracts. If you don't do what this league says, the league will turn against you fast. Now, Boogie Cousins, right? We love Boogie. We know what Boogie represents. We know what Boogie's about. Everybody that I know love Boogie Cousins. They love him. But Boogie got a temper. He's always had that temper. When he was in college, and when he played in the college game, he damn near about to fight in the college game. They was Boogie, what the hell you doing? Boogie about to punch the guy in the face and break a guy's jaw. Then they said, hey, Boogie, man, we got this thing going on, man. Boogie, I don't know. You know, this might not be your bag. Boogie didn't care. He was on the Sacramento Kings. He had a racist coach named George Karl. George Karl had a whole different belief system. George Karl believed black players were a certain way and white players were a certain way. And his race jokes about fried chicken didn't go over well with a couple of players. Now, he was talking about Tractor Trailer, talking about how lazy he was coming from Michigan, and he felt like in the NBA, this guy was spoiled. He didn't know what he was doing. I mean, George Karl got into it with every player who was black. He never got into it with white players, only blacks. And this has become a common theme with him. GP knew how to work with George Karl. So when he was in Seattle, Shawn Kemp had problems with him. At first, when Shawn was 18, teenager, he was trying to show him the ropes. Then as Shawn became a star in like 91, 92, he started to mature into not just a slam dunker, a basketball player, a real solid one. And they're winning 60-game seasons. The tension was really thick because of the way Karl spoke to people. And him and Boogie Cousins, they weren't going to get along at all. And there's been plenty of times where Boogie, and then in the team meeting, tried to punch George Karl. In the team meeting, punch George Karl. Like 2-3 times they had to grab Boogie. He's finna punch the reporter in Sacramento who's a George Karl fan. Another one of his buddies who always seemed to talk negative about Boogie Cousins, writing about his brother. His brother was no good. And it's like, wait a minute, you supposed to be our beat writer for San Diego, for the Kings. He's like, man, this organization, it sucks. It was a terrible time. Karl called him, he said he's a great basketball player, one of the best bigs. He took credit for Boogie's abilities, saying I gave him the ability to shoot from the outside. That was like my idea, to let him work on the outside because his game is pretty much gone. It's just that he was great, but we weren't winning games. You know, he's just not a winner. So he threw the whole blame on Boogie Cousins, but took all the credit for how great Boogie was. That's George Karl. So a lot of you guys didn't know those secrets happened. Like he tried to literally punch George Karl, and he ended up shoving the female assistant coach in the process. He was fined. Matt Barnes and him got in a fight. He almost broke his hand hitting another guy trying to protect Matt Barnes, who was drunk and getting into fights. And the star player of the team has to punch a guy who's trying to help his girlfriend from not being choked to death by Matt Barnes. So when you start speaking on these incidents that happened over and over again, and you see the damage that was done to that man's face by Boogie Cousins, and the Kings had to pay out a massive fine to those people. And, they were saying, like, this is it. Matt Barnes had to go. Immediately, they had to split this team up. Now, the word was out on Boogie Cousins. But when he was playing for the Pelicans, it was rocky over there. But when AD and him were there and they were the Twin Towers, they were dominating, and it looked like they was finna storm the playoffs. And because everybody was playing small. Small ball was it until Boogie and AD got together, and AD didn't have to do too much because now Boogie was your guy on the boards. So you ain't got to put all the pressure on AD to do something. And they were like Twin Towers dominating. Boogie couldn't be stopped. So right when he's about to get $100 and about $30-some million contract, boom. Right in the off season, about 2 games before the season ends, he tears his ACL. He's got a long recovery, and right before free agency. So after society makes their picks, he's forced to bounce back. And as he bounces back, he tears his other knee on the other side. His MCL, I believe, was torn. And then he was out almost a whole full year and a half. And then he tore his quad at Golden State. His legs was failing him because that's the thing that happens with an Achilles, especially on a big man. All that sitting around, you can't be mobile. So he had to work to get himself back just to try to get a temporary deal. And he was on the table for hundreds of millions. Now, here's where it gets more incredible. And hit the like button, good people. I know y'all just got in here. But here's the notion that people are forgetting or don't understand, or just not hearing it clearly. When people say they're tired of something, or there's a change and a shift in the way they're doing things, these coaches got together and said, we don't like Boogie Cousins. He's got an attitude problem. Even Kawhi Leonard had to come out and talk for him. Kawhi was like, but coach, you can play though, coach. I don't want to talk to him. You talk to him. Well, just don't talk to him then, but we need him, coach. He can play. He got game, coach. So he was like, good, you talk to him then, because I don't want to talk to him. Yeah, he didn't want to talk to him. So once that was done, Ty Lue couldn't get along with Boogie. LeBron got cussed out by Boogie in the locker room, and Boogie got mad. when they was going at everybody else, and he jumped up at LeBron one time, and that was enough. And they did not want Boogie back on the team. Mm-hmm. It's like being in your favorite position, you know. You're tired, you're exhausted, you're drained. You don't know what the next thing you're gonna do. Your voice is gone. You're like super dehydrated, and now you're playing to try to get back in the league. But the coaches will never let Boogie back in the league. Then he goes to Puerto Rico and shows that he still got that same attitude problem. He couldn't deal with a fan. Next thing you know, he's ready to taunt the fan. He's grabbing his junk, and he just got kicked out of the Euro League. And that was supposed to be his way back in. Every team tried to take a chance on Boogie, but Boogie, his body failed him, but his mind fails him all the time. He can't control his temper. No, well, what you're missing is that there's a very interesting development happening, is that the sports world is changing very rapidly. And because of the rapid change in the sports world, the entertainment dollars are coming in faster. So people are doing this fake it till they make it. So now people are doing podcasts and things like this to get the sponsorship money. You know, they want to try to do something to turn this thing around. Yeah. It's so many situations that's happened that you don't know. The league plays a dirty game. You know, they will shut you out if they want you out if you don't play ball, but what they, you know, and do what they say do. Now we all know about what happened to Mahmoud Abdul Rauf, and at that time he was in a position to get about at least a $30 million contract, or at that time, due to inflation, it was about 30 something million, and he then chose like to not stand for the national anthem. He had done it like 2-3 times before, you know, somebody said anything. Like he wasn't there for the anthem. Then they made this big fuss about it. Then he made this statement about the flag and what it represents, and it became a big thing, and it wasn't a policy. David Stern came in immediately and said, "What's your problem? Stand up. It's not my religion." And then he looked at Hakeem Olajuwon, and Hakeem Olajuwon is Muslim, and said, "Well, let me talk to him because we're both Muslims." And he tells him, he says, "Look, I know you're just becoming a Muslim. I've been a Muslim all my life." So he's because Hakeem Olajuwon used to be Akeem Olajuwon. And then he realized that wasn't the way to properly spell his name. So he changed his name to Hakeem Olajuwon. Yes, everything changed and pivoted because the narratives, once again, they changed. Had the narratives not changed, then, you know, you never know where things would end up. But the narratives changed. So nobody said anything. They said, okay, it became national news. It was on everywhere. The NBA was under fire. So they had to put the fire out quickly. So once he decided, okay, after talking with Elijah Wan and praying on it, and he decided that he would just pray to show unison. He stood up, he prayed, and while they doing the flag, he's praying. But now everybody's watching him to see what he does. And they didn't like the fact he was praying while the flag was up. They still thought he was disrespecting. So they wanted him out the league. All the fans, they hated him. And he was in Denver. He was a Denver Nugget. So he ended up getting traded to Sacramento. And after that, there was like no offers. Like zero. And this dude was lighting up the league. Yeah, well, I'll tell you one thing. When you have to work hard every single day because each day can be your last, it has a very lasting effect on you. It really does. Because at any given moment, this could be it. One punch can end your night. Uh, one move, one elbow, one step, you twist your ankle and you're out of the league. So a lot of these things are not promised. Now, Stephen Curry became the darling of the NBA. In 2014, they fell in love with a light-skinned guy with nice hazel green eyes. He had a wife. He was married. He was starting to break out in the NBA, and it was Steph Curry fever. In 2015, he was just on fire. Everybody was loving the circus shots. He's hitting all these shots. He's shimmying. He's dancing. He's a church boy. All of this is going great. And because of Steph Curry's resurgence and the fact that Chris Paul is now in the West Coast with the Clippers, Dame Lillard was a guy who could never make the All-Star game. He was the odd man out. They said, well, we got too many guards. Dame Lillard, sorry, you're out. And Dame Lillard was better than these guys. He's like, I'm better than them, if not better. I play these guys every summer and I bust their ass, including Steph. So he's like, I deserve to be in this All-Star. Y'all should make an exception to the rules. And he's like, no, we're not changing the rules. It is what it is, right? So Dame was like, next year they can't deny me. He has a monster year again, right? The team makes the playoffs. Dame Lillard didn't make the All-Star game again. Well, no. There was a player that was coming up from the G League. He was, they moved him on to Detroit's team, right? He was supposed to get a multi-year contract. Like he was gonna get, they were gonna move him to the draft. Um, he played in 10-day contracts, came in the league, did great, played for the Chicago Bulls. He played for a number of teams. So his agent got him a deal. He was gonna get a 3-year deal for $16 million, and they loved the way he played. He's an explosive talent, and right in the summertime, they had superstars come in. They had, like, the shoot around. They doing runs at the gym, and a superstar player from the NBA is in there, right? And he did a crossover move on that player, went up, dunked the ball, boom! Everybody praised this dude. Oh, he was just happy, the guys, could give him that respect. The player was embarrassed. Do you know that $16 million contract offer went right back to a 10-day contract? They said, "Oh, I'm sorry, we filled the position. We don't have a need anymore." All the 3 teams that the agent was working with, all of a sudden signed other people that was lesser players and for less money. Some was even the same amount of money, just to fill up their roster spots so that he wouldn't have a home. So he had to play on the travel league with the team. It's tragic. Yeah, that was just tragic. Yeah, so Dame broke through. He finally made it when he did Dame Time and Touching the Watch. Dame Time's Born. Everybody loved Dame Lillard now. But he couldn't get in an All-Star game to save his life for years when he was an All-Star and had made it. They said, "Hey, the guards are just heavy. We got Westbrook ahead of you." And he was like, "I'm better than Westbrook. I'm putting up way the better number." They was like, "No, he's in the MVP category." Then we got James Harden. Then we got Steph Curry. Chris Paul's been done. It's Dame time. Dropping dimes. So Dame became a household name, so they had to get Dame into the All-Star game. So now you got a whole bunch of guards, and people have to play forward, like like Klay Thompson, who was odd man out. Yeah, it's a lot of dirty secrets. The NBA wanted to split up the Splash Brothers or have Klay Thompson sign for next to nothing. That's why the Magnet Ball is here. It's here to lower contracts. And they're going to lower your numbers and keep the numbers low. There's no way not Steph Curry, but Klay Thompson is going to miss that many 3-point shots. It just don't even have. It's not even possible. The man is that accurate of a shooter that he's not going to miss that many shots. Mm-hmm. So now the whole perceptions are changing because one of the common denominators is LeBron James seems to be connected to a lot of these stories with these players that's getting screwed over. He's attached to them, or he's played with these players just by coincidence, or maybe not. Craig Hodges from Chicago. Everybody said he wore dashiki and to the White House, and that's why he, got in trouble with the Chicago Bulls and was kicked off the team. That's not what happened. He passed a letter to the president of the United States, and they were like, "You did that? You just gave him a letter?" It's like, "Yeah." And it was like, "Dear Mr. President, we want to, we want peace. We want to stop this war. We want blah, 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 blah." So the president's like, "He just gave me this piece of paper." Like, and they was like, "You embarrassed the organization. Like you got it. You don't just hand the president something in his hand like he's your homeboy. You don't do that. You have to write a letter to the president." He's like, "That's what they used to tell us as a kid. Write a letter to the president and send it to him." He was like, "Well, I'm already here at the White House. Let me just give it to him." And that was the worst thing he could have did. On their way back, they were already talking about firing Craig Hodges. Now, before they went to the White House, Craig Hodges was back on the team. He was going to get a 1 year deal for $2 million. Yeah, for the 1993 season. He was going to be on a 1 year deal, or he could leave. He had a choice to leave the Chicago Bulls, or they could trade him. But he was going to have like a 1 year deal for like $2 million, around that number. So his sister was a stewardess on the airplane. So when they're flying back, these executives and the people there, she's the stewardess. She's hearing them saying, "Yeah, when we get back, Craig Hodges is gone." And his sister is right there serving him. So they don't even know. Craig Hodges' sister is on the plane as a stewardess, and she overhears that. So she told Craig, so she's like, "Craig, they were on the plane. They talking about firing you as soon as they get back home." He was like, "I didn't even do anything." He's like, "My phone's been blowing up." So right then and there, Craig Hodges was out of the NBA. The Bulls got rid of his contract, and David Stern got rid of him, and that was it. He couldn't get a. All of a sudden, he had all these workouts. The team was like, he had a contract offers and everything. Then the Dallas Mavericks was like, "Okay, yeah, well, you can come work out. You're Craig Hodges. Yeah, just come in, work out, and we got a deal for you. We'll get you on the team." It's nothing. I can't believe we're gonna get Craig Hodges for nothing. This is the 3-time champion in the shootout for the NBA. He won like 3 years in a row. Or he's going for the three-peat. But he had won 2 years in a row, 3-point shootout champion. So next thing you know, they get a call back saying, "No, you cannot have Craig Hodges work out via the NBA." What? We'll owe you a favor. Don't worry about it. But no Craig Hodges. Craig said, they came and told Craig, "I don't know what you did, man." He said, "I'm going to work on it on my end some more, but I can't bring you in. They don't even want me to bring you in for shoot around." That's how bad it is. So he was out of the league. He tried for years to battle his way back into the league. 96, 97, he was the coach of our basketball team at my college. So that's how me and Craig got to hang out a lot. And he was playing in the CBA at that time when the school season was over, trying to get himself in shape and get himself back to the NBA. So these are the stories that I know. Most of it you don't really know about. Um, all of these leagues do this, man. Dez Bryant, the Dallas Cowboys did him dirty. He was in a contract year, and when the game started, he gets 2 touchdowns. He breaks and turns into 2 touchdowns. And he was like, "Yo," calling for the ball. Next thing you know, guess what happens? He didn't get the ball no more in the game. See, they were trying to keep his numbers down. They didn't care about winning and losing. Dallas wanted to keep his numbers down so they wouldn't have to pay Des Bryant the numbers that he wanted. So they were forcing him to get the ball to Whitney. They didn't want to pay Des Bryant. Yeah, he's already got 2 touchdowns. They like, "Well, that's enough. Don't give him the ball no more." So he was like, oh, okay, I see what's happening here. So this isn't about winning games. It's about controlling contracts. Yeah, so when they had a deal on the table for 14.5, and Klay Thompson, they was trying to say, well, Klay's going to get a big deal. Klay was on course to get $100 million deal too. And Klay got hurt. And when Klay came back, Golden State was going to reward him. They had just won the championship in 2022. And here it comes 2023, right? The very next year, Klay Thompson is back healthy. He's not injured. He's been playing all season. And his shot is just off. They got a new basketball. His shot is just missing. All just wildly. It's spinning out, everything. They want him to take less money so they can split up the Splash Brothers. They want to get rid of this team because they almost beat the Lakers, even when they trying to push the Lakers and cancel Golden State, which makes no sense to me as to why you would cancel Golden State and promote LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers, an older team that's not good, and you want to push them. And then it makes for ugly basketball for anybody that's watching it. It was just a lot of free throw attempts, and it was terrible to watch because they just had to cheat the Golden State Warriors because they couldn't believe the Warriors was still that good and giving the Lakers fits. So right after that, they want to split it up by getting Klay Thompson off of the team. Klay didn't like the role. They put Klay on the bench. Said, well, you can come off the bench. Klay was pissed. I just won a championship here 2 years ago, and you want me to come off the bench? So he was livid. He was livid. So now, after that flips up and goes upside down and falls back on his head, everything turns back over again. Klay Thompson ends up signing a 2-year friendly deal with Dallas Mavericks. So he can get his money. Then he could play in Dallas and still be on the West Coast. But now he in the position, Golden State is where they want it to be now. It's the Steph Curry show. And they can go from there. So the narratives keep changing the more they stay the same. Absolutely. Mm-mm-mm. Who else they done dirty? They done a lot of people dirty right in the middle of a contract year. And they thought, okay, this is going to be a huge deal for Xavier McDaniels with the New York Knicks. The New York Knicks said, no, we're going to let you go. After saying they were going to keep McDaniels. But they liked the way Anthony Mason was coming along. And they said, well, we can take the cheaper route and we can just go ahead and trade Xavier McDaniels. And then we'll just take Anthony Mason because it's cheaper and we're basically getting some good production out of him. So we have Oakley and Mason instead of X-Man, who was way more of a scorer and it's psychological, intimidating. And this hurt them when they went against the Chicago Bulls. Because down the stretch, X-Man would have stepped up took pressure off Charles Oakley, but y'all got a soft body and Charles Smith, who ends up doing the infamous Game 5 collapse where he just 6'11", won't dunk the ball, trying to lay it up off the glass, soft, and blow Game 5. So that's all you need to know about Charles Smith. He's the one Dennis Rodman was gonna slap while he was overseas, over in North Korea. So, oh yeah, Dennis Rodman was drunk as hell. I'll put this whole goddamn thing together. Now he acting like he run the whole goddamn show. Man, fuck it, give me a drink. I'm like, Dennis Rodman, boy, you need to calm down. Oh, I'm sorry. But yeah, they had like 14, 15 players that didn't get their money. All right, they had to pay Dennis Rodman. Dennis was the only guy that got his money when he was supposed to get. He was supposed to be out the league, and the Bulls ended up paying Dennis Rodman. So and they only paid him 30. They got him cheap. He's a rock star. Scottie Pippen didn't get no money. Dennis Rodman was making more than Scottie, and Scottie was really pissed. So the Bulls knew they was never gonna pay Scottie. So they did a sign and trade with him at the end of the season, and gave him and gave him to Phoenix. I mean the Houston Rockets. Pippen was damaged goods by that time. By 98, he had that back surgery. He was pretty much done. He was never the same anymore. If the Knicks knew how to win games and how to shut down Jordan or even slow him down in those times, they would have won those games. But by that time, Pat was his knees were done. It was like bone on bone by that time. He had no more rise, really no more. In 98, he had more weight on him. But the Pacers had him. The Indiana Pacers was one shot away from eliminating the Chicago Bulls in Game 7 in 98. They had no answer for Jalen Rose. Jalen Rose was a guy who was tall. He was a 6'5" guard who was a lefty, and he can cross you and get his own shot. That puts pressure on all the other guys. And Reggie and all those guys can rotate now. And Travis Best could shoot. So you had to respect him. And he had speed. He can get by you. But what Jalen Rose would do is he'll get to the middle, get to the nail, pull up, hit the jump shot, and he was giving them fits in the whole series. That's how the series was getting extended. They had no answer for Jalen Rose coming off the bench. He was big. He could shoot over Kerr. He could shoot over those little guards that the Bulls had. They had no match for him. So once he was hot, he hit like 2 shots in a row. They take him out, and you almost don't see Jalen Rose for the remainder of the game. And it was just like, didn't make any sense whatsoever. Why would Larry Bird do that? Well, what that ended up doing was they got Jalen Rose a deal. He apologized to Jalen Rose, but it was a necessity that the Chicago Bulls advance and not the Indiana Pacers. They couldn't have the last dance in like that. So Larry took Jalen Rose out and didn't put him back in after he hit 2 shots in a row. Just benched him. It was completely ridiculous. They suspended Jalen Rose for standing up and having a half a toe touch the white line, he was suspended for a game to help the Chicago Bulls win a game. It was nuts. Saying he stepped on the court, his foot was touching the line. It was ridiculous. All so that the Bulls can advance. So all these dirty secrets was done behind the scenes. Larry Bird was there, and they made it up to him by putting him in the NBA Finals against Shaq so they could have Magic versus Bird. It was so stupid. The NBA is so deliberate and insane in their deliveries. And right after that, Larry Bird retired from coaching. After they lost in the finals, he was like, "That's it. I'm done. I'm not coaching anymore." So, couldn't deal with the politics anymore. One crazy secret. Yeah, one player missed the team plane and was completely drunk, and he was hanging out all night, partying and drinking. They have the playoffs coming up. He's blasted. And Wayne, that's his name, Wayman Tisdale, the jazz player, because he played jazz. So his band was in there playing, and the players is in there getting down. Yeah, and I think he was at Utah at this time. So Wayman Tisdale went and got him and said, "Hey," got him up, woke him up, and said, "Hey man, come on, get up, come on, get up." He was like, "Man, you drunk." And the player, he had a contract with Adidas. So at this time, the Adidas rep and all these people are seeing him drunk. So he had missed the plane. He was so messed up. So they drove him. Because back then, they didn't have team planes. They had to fly commercial. They had to get on a plane and fly out. They didn't have team planes. And so Wayman Tisdale picks him up. Says, "Come on, buddy. You're coming with us." Got him on a bus. Got him there almost right before game time. Now, that was a good thing because Wayman Tisdale took a fine right along with his teammate. The NBA cleaned it up because they didn't want to lose their sponsors. But, yeah, that was crazy. First round playoff game. Now, Phoenix Suns. James Buddha Edwards, how he ended up becoming a bad boy Piston. He's in a strip club. He's fighting a guy over some cocaine and some strippers and some girls from the bar, right? One of the girls belonged to, I guess she's got a boyfriend or a husband. He's right there. So he's about to smack the one guy. And she's like, "Hey, that's my boyfriend, and I don't know what's going on here." So James Buddha Edwards is doing all this coke, and then he got 3 other Phoenix Suns players come over, and they about to jump over, and they all doing cocaine in the hotel room, and then there's a big drug bust because the husband's like, "I can't fight a 6'10" black guy like that who's got my wife and another person's wife, and they're banging them 2 at a time and doing coke. I'm calling it." So they called the cops in, and one of the guys that they were buying the coke from was some drug dealer, some real heavy mobster drug dealing guy. And it came down to a whole big shakedown on the NBA. So they had to split up all the players. And that's how the Pistons end up getting James Buddha Edwards. And it ended up leading us to championships. Thank God we got Buddha. So we got Buddha Edwards out of the deal, but they had to split up the Phoenix team. They were high and going off coke. Yeah, it was. It's the Wild Wild West, man. It's a lot of secrets, man. So the rest of it we're gonna talk about on the Patreon. I'm gonna go ahead and chill with my peeps. Thank y'all for hanging out, man. Don't forget to follow my Patreon, which is Carcino for Life. And I'm gonna holler at y'all later.